Okay, so let's dive into this stack of sources we've got in front of us today.
Right. It seems like it's mostly these excerpts about a proposed university capstone project.
Exactly. A design project, yeah. And it's tackling a really, pretty common frustration, I think, in the digital space.
Definitely. The main idea here, from what I'm seeing in the source, is digging into this thing they call a YouTube SEO sensor.
Yeah. What is it? How could it work? And like, why is it even significant?
Well,
That's kind of our mission for this deep dive based on this material.
makes sense. Unpacking that concept.
So just to kick things off for you listening,
Yeah.
have you ever tried to figure out, how visible something actually is online, like a video,
Mm-hmm.
and just realize how, I don't know, how messy and tough it is to really track?
Yeah, it's not straightforward, and these sources jump right into that real-world side of things.
They're really grounded in what creators actually face on YouTube.
Totally. It points out, making a good video, that's just step one. It's not enough by itself.
Right? There's this whole other layer of like strategy.
Yeah, keyword research, trying to figure out why people are searching for certain things, the search intent piece.
And then optimizing your actual video page for those terms.
Exactly. But then, bam, you hit the big wall the source talks about.
That they go,
That the whole YouTube environment is just incredibly dynamic, always shifting.
yeah, rankings aren't static at all. They bounce around constantly.
Yeah.
Algorithm updates, what people are searching for changes.
And just the insane amount of new competition popping up literally every minute.
Right. Which, as the source notes, creates a massive headache for creators or, marketers trying to see how they're doing.
A real pain point. The material describes trying to manually check your rankings for like a whole bunch of keywords
Oh, yeah.
across different devices, maybe different locations.
Right.
And it calls that process tedious, inefficient, and stressful.
Which, I mean, that sounds about right. It feels very real.
And they even bring in this character, Mark, who's apparently escaping the wasteland of doing all that manual checking.
Yeah, that paints a picture. It really drives home the need the source identifies.
Which is for some kind of automated, data-driven monitoring solution. You need the machines to do the work.
And that's the segue into this Capstone project idea.
Precisely. The proposed solution is, let's get students to design, build, and test this exact system, the YouTube SEO sensor.
So it takes that problem, that need for automation, and makes it a concrete student project.
Yeah, something practical, something that goes, as the source puts it, beyond purely theoretical exercises.
Okay, so based on the description, how is this sensor supposed to actually, work? What are the bits and pieces?
Well, the source breaks down the main functions. First up is data acquisition, getting the raw info.
Yeah.
It says the system would need to programmatically fetch search results, so not manually searching.
Right, using the official YouTube Data API v3 it mentions.
Exactly. API, just the standard way for software to talk to YouTube's system.
So it's using a specific tool, the search.list method mentioned in the text.
That's the one. And it's not just toy coding. The source makes a point that students learn about real-world stuff here, like
Yeah.
managing API keys, your credentials, basically, understanding quotas, which are the limits on how many requests you can make.
Right, you can't just ask for infinite data.
Nope. And handling errors properly when things inevitably go wrong. It even connects this to real-world constraints Leo encountered, suggesting someone faced these issues.
Gotcha. Okay, so you've used the API, you fetched the search results data. What's next?
Next is rank determination. You've got this data probably in what's called the JSON response, just a standard data format. The system then has to sift through that response to find the actual rank for the specific videos or channels you care about for each keyword.
So, like, is my video number 5? Or is it in the top 10 or top 20, as the source examples suggest?
Exactly that. Pinpointing its position.
Okay, makes sense. But just knowing today's rank isn't the whole picture, right? You need history.
Absolutely. Which brings us to data storage. And the source flags, this needs to be scalable.
Meaning it can grow as you collect more data over time.
Right. It throws out a few options mentioned in the material. Maybe simple CSV files like spreadsheets.
Okay.
Or a slightly more robust Twilight database, or even going bigger with cloud storage if needed.
All right, so you're collecting and storing the rank data, but you need to see it.
For sure. That's the reporting alerting component. How do you actually use this data?
What does the source suggest there?
A few levels. Could be basic, like simple console output, just text on a screen, or maybe email alerts if a rank suddenly drops.
Okay, simple notifications.
Or it mentions building a more sophisticated web dashboard
Oh.
using, standard web tech like HTML, CSS, JavaScript.
Ah, for charts and graphs, visual analysis.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, much easier to understand trends that way. And it notes this dashboard is something Leo is building, again, giving that concrete example.
Right. And the final piece, to make it truly automatic, to free mark.
Scheduling. You need to automate the script to run periodically.
Like maybe daily, the source suggests.
Daily seems common, yeah. But crucially, while respecting those API quotas we mentioned, you got to stay within the limits.
You don't want to get shut off by YouTube.
Exactly.
So what strikes me here, and the source really seems to emphasize this, is how many different areas this one project touches.
Oh, absolutely. It says it seamlessly blends multiple disciplines. That's what makes it such a potentially rich capstone experience.
So let's break that down based on the text. Obviously, there's a big software engineering chunk, right?
Huge. You've got the Python scripting itself, actually talking to the API, figuring out how to parse that JSON data.
Handling errors, setting up the automation, maybe even building that web front end or some other interface.
And then there's a heavy dose of data science.
Oh, so.
Well, you're collecting data. You probably need to clean it up. You're doing time series analysis, looking at how ranks change over time.
And visualizing that data for the reports or dashboard.
Yep. And then it's fundamentally about marketing technology. MarTech.
Because it's applying SEO concepts in a practical tool.
Exactly. Students get hands-on with SEO principles, maybe doing competitive analysis by tracking other channels.
Setting up performance monitoring for their own stuff, and the automation itself is a form of marketing automation.
And the last one mentioned is systems thinking.
Meaning?
Seeing YouTube not just as a website, but as this complex, dynamic system. Your actions have reactions.
And the sensor creates a feedback loop. The data helps you adjust your strategy.
Precisely.
The source also makes a specific point about leveraging the Leo and Mark case study. What's that about?
It suggests using this specific YouTube channel, Bang Scene AI Studio, as a kind of living case study for the project.
Ah, so it provides real context.
Yeah, real-world context. It
Yeah.
shows their actual strategy. They mentioned something called Basecamp Everest. It could offer real data for students to work with, potentially. And it gives that relatable narrative framework, with Mark and Leo.
Makes the project feel less abstract, more grounded. A smart idea.
Which leads to the question the source directly asks, why is this considered a great capstone project?
Right. What are the benefits highlighted?
Well, first, real-world relevance. It tackles a genuine need, as the text says. This isn't just theoretical.
People actually struggle with this in digital marketing and content creation. Big industries.
Second, it helps students develop really in-demand skills. We just listed them: Python, APIs, data analysis, SEO.
Stuff employers are looking for.
Definitely. Third, you get a tangible outcome. Students build actual working software, something they can show off.
Not just a paper.
Exactly. Fourth, scalable complexity. You can adjust the scope, start simple, add features like the dashboard later.
So it fits different project lengths or team sizes.
Seems like it. And finally, the source suggests it's just an engaging topic: YouTube, SEO, data. It's interesting stuff for a lot of students today.
Yeah, relevant to their own lives online too.
So kind of zooming out, the power of this whole project idea as it's laid out here seems to be bridging that gap, between classroom theory and actually solving a problem people have out there.
Yeah, applying what you learn to build something genuinely useful. Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive into these sources, describing the YouTube SEO sensor idea, it really seems like taking a real-world pain point, that manual grind of tracking visibility, can fuel a pretty fantastic university project.
Yeah, it helps students build really practical, valuable skills, tech skills, marketing skills.
And they end up with something concrete, a working tool.
Hopefully this whole discussion has given you listening a clearer sense of, well, first, the challenges in tracking online visibility.
It's not easy.
And second, how a data-driven, automated approach, like the sensor described in the material, could be a really powerful way to manage it.
So one last thought to leave you with, pulling back from the details and
Yeah.
connecting to that bigger picture the source touches on. It really emphasized tracking data over time and thinking in terms of dynamic systems. So if this sensor tells you what your rank is today, what possibilities open up when you have that historical data?
Like moving beyond just the what to the why.
Exactly. Could that history help you understand why ranks are changing? And maybe just maybe even offer clues for trying to predict what might happen next. Something to chew on when you think about your own online visibility.